Monday, week 10 already. IT Essentials. Network concerns, we covered. First of all, we asked if there were any questions, and there weren't any. And then we went through just as a review, the OSI and the TCP IP models and the relationship between them. Any concern with mobile devices? Any questions? We really didn't have any. And then we did the presentations, and they were very good. Good in-depth information about each of the topics. So, and the students did a nice job. Printing, we covered some topics, and then we did a research project, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. Coming up, we have virtualization, some wrap-up materials on actually chapters 1 through 9, and then we do Windows install. Let's take a look today. Alright, the rest of the things. Networking, OSI model. So we talked about data moving down. We talked about encryption a little bit here. Creating a session, keeping track. And then at the transport layer, we create segments with port numbers. And we either send the information TCP or UDP. This, like, the session won't end until you have all the packets. Here, it's just best effort. Network layer, we create a packet. IP addressing, that's a P. Data link, we have a frame, and the addressing depends on what type of data link. Right now we would be either Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and so those would be a MAC address. Then we put the bits on the medium. These three layers for the TCP IP model is application, transport is transport, internet is a network layer, network access, data link, and physical. Talk a little bit about client server. This communications UL. So we gave an example. You're contacting a web server, right? You contact DNS, get an IP, then you can contact the web server, and then the web server can send the information back. We use an example, hypertext transfer protocol secured, port 443. One thing we were talking about is so often you'll hear people say, when they'll talk about packets going through the internet. And typically why they call them packets is when data moves like through the internet, it goes up these layers, it gets here, the network layer, it finds the source and destination IPs, and then it can send the data back down. So this cycle can continue while it's moving through the internet, and layer 3 is a packet. So they'll often refer to those as packets going through the internet. And they're looking at the destination IP address to get it somewhere. Hopefully that was clear as mud. Then we talked about printers. Okay, we've been talking a lot about hardware, PC, laptops, all kinds of devices, right, that communicate. Today we talked about printers. We talked about inkjet printers. We gave a little bit of a price range. We talked about 3-in-1. Ink is sprayed on the paper. And we spent a little time on laser printers, and we have, I don't know, this cost range is really approximate, but you could probably buy a laser printer for a couple $100, all the way up to 3,000, a decent one. You can probably get less than decent for under 200. And here we have toner, and we have an image drum where the image is put on the drum. Thermal printers in retail. Impact printers, you don't see them as much, but they actually have a device that hits an image through a ribbon. And you know, these are still used, and a lot of times they may have 2 layers of paper and have a carbon paper in there. So it makes a duplicate of what you're printing. And we talked about 3D printers a little bit. Yeah, here we talked about the different colors that can make up. You know, you can have 3 different colors and then some color key. So that's here. The students looked up printers in the room, brand new, $2,200. It's not cheap. We talked about printer speed, quality, reliability. You have to think about speed, pages per minute, depending on how soon, you know, from the time you decide to print, that somebody needs the output. The quality of the printed material, okay, dots per inch. We're concerned about that, the quality of the paper, the ink, the toner, the type of printer, and you know, what kind of quality it produces. Reliability. And we talked a little bit about return on investment, and then the total cost of ownership. So if we were to look at total cost of ownership, you got to buy the printer, and you might say, well, a laser printer is way expensive, so I'm going to buy an inkjet printer for a couple $100 rather than a couple thousand. Well, consumables, how many pages you're printing per month, the cost per page, and if you can calculate any maintenance costs, and if you're buying a warranty for the device. So these are all important elements of your total cost of ownership. So what the students, then their task, they think of a small business, okay, think of a small business and compare at least 2 to 3 vendors. So look at getting an inkjet printer and a laser printer. That makes sense? So you're going to compare inkjet, laser, color and black and white, and you're going to look for these cost breaks for total cost of ownership. So you're going to do some research, look at these items down here, and you're going to come up with some examples of 2 or 3 different vendors for inkjet and laserjet printers. Well, I should say just laser and inkjet, and get some of the numbers down here and come up with some number for all your examples of, once you get over that number, printing wise, it might be smarter to get a laser printer, or there might be some other reasons to get a laser printer, or when an inkjet printer does or doesn't make sense. Thinking about total cost of ownership. And then we'll look at that on Wednesday, and we'll finish up printing on Wednesday. That's it.